As we saw last week in Virginia, Republicans have made the demonization of critical race theory the linchpin of their new strategy. It rouses white people's fear of racial displacement in a diversifying country. And this anxiety is being codified. Since the beginning of the year, 24 state legislatures have introduced 54 bills to restrict the teaching of divisive concepts like racial inequality and white privilege in grade schools, colleges, and state agencies. 9 of those bills specifically cite critical race theory. According to a new report by the free speech advocacy group PEN, 11 of the bills have become law in states like Tennessee, Oklahoma, Iowa, and Texas. Another 18 are pending, and 6 more have already been drafted for the next legislative session. By using the state to censor classroom discussions, PEN argues that these laws undermine the right to free speech, which is guaranteed by the First Amendment. These bills appear designed to chill academic and educational discussion and impose government dictates on teaching and learning, the report says. In short, they are educational gag orders. Joining me now to discuss is Jonathan Friedman, Director of Free Expression in Education and lead author of the report for PEN America. Jonathan, I really appreciate you being here. I mean, I think these laws are ridiculous, outrageous, scare tactics for white voters, not really about critical race theory at all, but really about the censoring of accurate teaching of the history of race in America. But I want you to walk through for our viewers how you make this a free speech argument, because there's quite a bit that is not allowed to be taught in schools. So I mean, it seems an odd leap for free speech. So I want you to just walk our viewers through that.
Sure, no problem. Well, the First Amendment has 2 ways in which it is often applied in cases. It has to do with whether laws that are drafted are considered overbroad, meaning that they're going to apply to too many areas of free speech that should be protected, or that the laws are vague, that they're worded in a way that, you know, a quote-unquote reasonable person couldn't understand them. I think what has been so perplexing to the discourse around these issues is that nobody really even understands what's in these laws or bills that are becoming laws, and what are the implications of the way that they're worded. You know, what does it mean to say that nobody should teach a concept that should or shouldn't make someone feel certain ways about race or racism? You know, it's convoluted language, it's ambiguous, and it's going to have a widespread chilling effect. That means that because people don't understand exactly what it means, everyone's going to take a wider circle, kind of step back from talking about race, racism, sexism, gender, all of the topics that we've seen targeted in school districts and by these partisan legislators. And so in that way, it's having a large chilling effect on schools, which, you know, could be and should be places that are open to debate, and places where we have strong protections for students to teach, for students to learn, for teachers to teach, for people to have access to ideas.
So just so that I'm clear about this is a technicality based on the vagaries of the law. So if the laws were better crafted and more targeted, it would be harder to make this free speech argument?
I think so. I mean, there is wider leeway in school curriculum. You know, school boards, school districts, state level governments have greater capacity to set what it is that students should learn in schools. There are all kinds of debates we see all the time over, you know, what age should be taught, what topic, you know, at what age should students learn, you know, certain mathematical concepts, certain English concepts, right? The challenge here is that many of these bills seem to be suggesting that there could be entire you know, broad swaths of materials that have been produced in the world that couldn't be taught at all in schools. Whole ideas, ways of looking at society, questions, and we've seen this applied quite broadly, where you have local parent groups targeting children's books, history books, really just whatever book seems to be the latest one that they want to target to remove from schools, and school boards are giving into it. Now, it is possible that the Supreme Court, that other federal courts could look at these laws and question, does this pass constitutional muster? It's not a done deal one way or the other, but there is a strong case that in the way that they've been worded and in the obvious rhetoric that has been used around them, that the message that is being very clearly telegraphed is one of censorship, is one of telling teachers, what they should or shouldn't teach, what they should or shouldn't say.
Let's dive into the orchestration around the anti-critical race theory debate right now. Recent reporting by Popular Information uncovered how misinformation about critical race theory surges through fake local news sources. Republican strategists can essentially purchase and plant partisan attacks about critical race theory and pass them off as news. The state with the highest number of articles coming from it was a network in Florida, where critical race theory was banned in April. What do you think is the relationship here between this disinformation campaign and the actual laws being passed in these states?
It's very hard to say. There's a lot that's happening in the shadows. So you can identify the misinformation that is circulating, you can identify the bills that are being drafted, and you can identify clear similarities in strategy between multiple states. The same books that are being challenged by parents in Texas are now being challenged at the local level by parents in Virginia, for example. The same kinds of misinformation about what's in books or about what teachers teach, even the whole notion that teachers are teaching quote unquote critical race theory. I mean, this itself relies on a false idea of what critical race theory is. It's an academic intellectual framework taught in law schools. Now, does it have some impact on other kinds of thinking about diversity or how we should talk about race and racism in the United States? It might, but is an academic theory being taught, I don't know, in pre-K and kindergarten around the country? No, it's not. And so there is a similarity of tactic where we're seeing the same kind of misinformation and then similar kinds of bills, that really do single out specific kinds of curriculum to not be taught. I mean, it's not even a question mark as to whether the bills are, against the 1619. Heck, 11 of them around the country explicitly say, you can't teach the 1619 project. And then on top of that, it's not just K to 12 schools. Many of the bills explicitly target colleges and universities. These are often classrooms with, experts talking to what are adults, and it's really quite alarming to see the ways in which legislators around the country are kind of borrowing from the same playbook, fanning the misinformation, riling up communities to get angry about what they claim is being taught in schools, and then look, here's the answer. We're going to solve it with this bill that's going to arguably clamp down, and I think these will clamp down.
Jonathan Friedman, thank you so much for joining me tonight. I really appreciate your time.